more of your rogue decks, Virtual World, Tri-Brigade, all get the chance to return to this format and actually make a nice little splash. Don't be like 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can talk about more regional breakdowns. For this regional, this is going to pretty much paint the story that you've all been told this format. Despia is the best deck in the room, highest overall representation at this point in time, with 3 in the top 8 for this event. Are you shocked about that? Anybody? No, that's pretty much what you expect to hear. When we talk about these deck lists here, you'll kind of get the chance to see where these players were going, what some of their lines of thinking were. We had 2 Sword Soul in top cut also. I mean, like I said, in terms of like your highest points in this format, I think the best deck really is Despia. And then you see Sword Soul kind of chipping it out here and eating away at the rest of the metagame in terms of its overall representation. So not too bad there. We also have 1 Virtual World deck in top cut, which actually, I think the most interesting thing about this Virtual World list is no Brave package. We did see in like the very early stages of last format that the Brave package really was like the driving force for this deck. No, actually, this build seems a lot more budget friendly, which is actually very nice. I know players do love the fact when they can get budgetary options here and get the chance to kind of like step up to the game and play, and that's a good thing. We also had 1 Tri-Brigade. Now, Tri-Brigade was actually a pretty big competing force out of this weekend for a couple of events I saw. There was definitely a lot more Tri-Brigade present than I had initially thought. Like, I did put the deck as rogue, but I'm very shocked about that. We also had 1 Dragon Link for this event, and you know, I'm not really surprised. Albalenitis does kind of do its job, but seeing this deck kind of creep through the cracks is interesting. A little shout out here to the Sun Avalon Thurion deck. Just because it wasn't present at this regional does not mean it did not make a splash, and I've already heard stories that Sun Avalon did its job out of this weekend. Let's pass it on into deck list, shall we? First list we're going to be looking at here, 8th place, is Sword Soul. Now, this build is actually kind of interesting. We are playing the Ready Fusion. Yeah, you want to talk about creativity out here? Being able to use the Ready Fusion to get a level 2 on the field so you could climb up through some of your 10 Ys in order to make some relatively more interesting plays is actually really cute. I actually haven't seen a lot of people consider that yet, but it's definitely interesting. 45 cards might seem a little bit high in terms of investment cost, but that's fine. I'll see that we are playing chalices instead of droplets for this deck, which I think is fine. I see that we have night beams and crossout designators in there, so you can take care of all of those very anti-fun cards. I also see the DD Crow here being a little bit more of a dominating force out of this event here. Shout out to just, yeah, DD Crow in general here, being one of those cards that I think definitely is going to have a lot more value this format, and I'll have to wait and see like if that ends up holding true, but I think it will. All right, next up here is 7th place, which is our first Despia list for this event. We are main decking the Super Polys. Oh boy, we also have 1 branded loss in the main deck. I also see that we are playing Gold Sarcophagus in this, along with Lure of the Darknesses. One interesting thing, ever since Pat kind of showed the world about a Lure of Darkness, it's become a little bit more streamlined at this point in time. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but your overall generalized value for that is pretty good. I'll see that we have the 2 zombie worlds with the 1 Necroworld Banshee that kind of stuck around at the end of the last format, which kind of proved that players were kind of innovating at a relatively high regard for that. So that's definitely something else to kind of keep an eye on here, especially as we get more and more turnover here for this. Also, down there's Albalenitis. Why would you not be playing Albalenitis? Free set, contact, fuse out with the entire Dragon Link player's board. Seems like free chicken tendies to me. I don't know why people don't like free wins, but whatever. 6th place here was our Virtual World list. You see what I mean when I say that this looks very budget friendly? Yeah, we have 2 Desires in here, but there's no adventure package in the main deck. Yes, we are playing Dragoon in the deck because, you know, Muddy Mud Dragon shenanigans, being able to sub out for any specific name monster. That's fine. But in terms of the rest of the general construction of this, this is a very big callback to previous builds. Like, you literally just went back in a time machine, roll back up here and you're like, oh yeah, this is very familiar to what we've seen. Standard Ultimaya to Zolkin plays, standard triple E-Telly built in, double Foolish Barrels. I guess that's kind of more interesting. Double Desires. Yeah, in terms of breakdown and ratio, I mean, I guess some builds were trying to stay away from Gamma previously. I definitely remember that we saw more Gamma in the side, but more hand traps are probably going to be the way that you're going to need to go here, especially as we shape up here for the future of this deck. Next up here was 5th place. Yay, Sword Soul again. Alright, so there's no Synthana in this build, which I honestly prefer it that way. We are playing the one Monster Reborn in here as well, for the Sword Soul archetype. We also have what? Triple Vessel. There's the double DD Crow back at it again to kind of showcase and show us that that's going to be your more optimal way. No Chalice is built into this list either. This is pretty much more standardized. I do see we're only playing 2 Incredible Ecclesias in here, which is fine. Side deck down here, 2 anti-spell, 2-dimensional barrier with 2 evenly matched, which means that this is going to be aiming to do more of the board breaking stuff. Yeah, I don't see anything else really too crazy in here. Like, truthfully, like, this deck has pretty much been figured out at this point in time. You just decide on your ratios that you really want to do. And Sword Soul is going to be one of the more stable versions. Heavenly Dragon Cycle, maybe? I don't know. Next up here, 4th place is our Tri-Brigade Lyralisk package, actually. Ever since we saw the big Exceed monster get limited, I think a lot of people kind of strayed away from this. But no, we got the chance to see that this is back in full swing here. So Bird package is pretty standard. I mean, okay, so you could, I guess, technically still make Zeus, right? Because you can go, what, like, or yeah, still make Zeus through a simple Nightingales, do your basic searching, stack them up. Talents in the side deck is kind of interesting, though, considering the fact that, like, Ghost Bell, literally DD Crow, and Ash Blossom are, like, the main hand traps that everybody's playing right now. I guess you get some sort of, like, interaction points having that more present here. Crossout Designator shout out as well. Crossout just being the massive, crazy disruption no to your opponent that you really want to see is absolutely still amazing. Alright, so everything's still going the way that it should here. Next up here, 3rd place here, is another version of the Allure of Darkness build. I think that the Allure of Darkness package at this point in time is becoming the key build. I also see that we are playing the branded trap card that does have the ability to summon out those Mirror Jade tokens, which is actually kind of interesting. You do see that we are playing the one branded banishment. Thank you for new support for that. This build is not playing Alba Lenitus, actually. We are playing the Brigand in here, which I guess is player preference. We are not playing the Ecclesia, but we are playing the Fairy Tale Snow, so you can drop it down so you can have the additional interruption. Also, Gourd Sarcophagus finding its way into this deck, becoming more of a little mainstay here is pretty good. Also, you know, Branded Lost is becoming a good card. So many people are looking at Branded Lost and just, they're loving it. Also, this build is playing Theater, which is also kind of interesting. I don't know, I guess the value you still get out of Theater is pretty busted for this deck, so not too bad. Next up here, 2nd place, is Dragon Link. This deck ran all the way back to 2nd place for this event, which is actually amazing. I do see that we are playing the Vampire big Link monster, or Exceed monster in here. That has been a little bit more of a normal thing as of late, and I actually find that quite interesting. The fact this deck just gets free mill chicken tendies. I see we are also playing the big Boral Exceed monster in here, so they actually have a big boss monster they can call upon. A lot of people can nut out that boss monster. There's a few instances that's really easy to out. There's other times where it's going to be massively difficult, but that's definitely one of the more interesting things that this deck has going for it at this point in time. Outside of that, I don't see anything else really too crazy in this. This feels, once again, very standardized for what we've seen, especially out of like last format here, near the beginning of it, where you solved this deck doing what it did best and still massively combo heavy the deck. Last as we have here, guess what? It's Branded. Branded ended up winning this event. 1st place here. So we are playing the one Branded Lost. No Allure Darknesses in this deck. So that's going to be one interesting thing here. We are playing the one Branded Trap card, but of course, double talents in the main deck in case you get hand traps. You can essentially kind of recover out of that. That's like the one big value point you get out of this with talent right now is especially with like the third and the side deck. If you know your opponent's like more hand trapped out of their mind, you literally just bring it in and have access to it. If you play against Flunder, no problem, right? You got Necro Banshees in there. Once again, there are not too many crazy innovations with this. I also see that we are not playing Alba Lenitus. We are playing Brigand, though, so I guess the extra deck's a lot more tight now for this, that some of these builds just are not opting to play Alba Lenitus. So that is your breakdown for this regional. Are you guys particularly intrigued by what we're seeing here? Please, comment down below to what you're saying. Make sure you smash the crap out of that subscribe button. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.